Red Seal Steel King Baron Mime Retrigger. If you've never played Balatro, you don't know what I just said, but that is what the game is. So welcome back to my channel. I'm overzealous, or actually you know what, I'll just go ahead and give you my real name. My name is Jaden, and I'm making Balatro out of pipe cleaners. Now I knew I wanted this to come out in a very specific way. I knew I wanted a blue and red base, but I also wanted cards that you can find inside of the game to also be on top of this. The only problem is that I kind of didn't know which cards I wanted, so let's both go on an adventure here, you know? Now believe it or not, I actually want the shape to be odd and oblong just to simulate the game in a way, you know? You never know what you're really gonna get, so now that we have that shape, let's go ahead and reinforce it and see what happens next. Oh yeah, and just to preface here, if some of the jokers end up a little scuffed, don't bash me, Bran. I was working on a small scale, okay, and it's hard making like details with these things. So even still, thank you for watching, and now let's actually start making the jokers once we fill this in. And boom, just like that, that was about 30 minutes of work edited down in like half a second. So yeah, I need this AdSense, bro. I need these subscribers, bro. I need to justify the reason why I'm spending so much time on these projects. So once again, if you like the video, I don't know, subscribe or something, but let's move on. But with that, we have finally finished our base. Now, the only thing is, don't look at the bottom. But other than that, we're good to go. So I knew for sure that the first Joker I want to make was Jimbo himself. The only problem was I didn't know the scale, and I didn't know that this was going to be one of the hardest Jokers to make at the time. So yeah, he ended up a little bit scuffed. But for now, I just went with this blank card build, and every Joker going forward will be scaled off of this one. However, I start to notice that later on they got bigger and bigger and bigger, but that's a problem for another time. But as you can see, right now I'm just filling in the part of the Jester suit that kind of looks like his body if you look at it for long enough. And while this did come out a bit bigger than expected, I still went along with it because who cares? Things happen like that, you know? Now at this point I had no idea of what I wanted to do next. Should I make maybe the balls on the end first, or how would I even make the face or even the hat? So I just took some time and made one thing at a time, which was the mouth. So yes, the mouth was actually pretty easy to make. It was just a simple red U, and then the inside a simple white U. So pretty easy. Also, wait, is the music cutting out again? Hold on a second. Let me choose. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, like I was saying, also it was also pretty easy to put on the face. Next, I started work on the eyes, and they gave me a little bit of trouble, but not too much. It was mainly just the eyeliner because getting that shape was a little hard, and the pupils were just free, super easy. Now if you see here, he does look a little bit goofy without his hat, but I'll obviously put that on later. Now the problem is that he doesn't actually have a face. He kind of just has pieces of a face floating out into the empty void. So I try to remedy that, but I'm not really sure how well that worked out. As you can see, I finally made the hat, and I also put the side pieces on there too. Now I was actually thinking about calling it done here, but I decided to actually add the balls right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So I added the balls to the head. That was pretty easy to do. I also added alternating red and black ones at the bottom, and even something to the face there to round it all out. Now there is one detail I forgot, and it's the Joker like words on the sides, but who cares about that detail, right? After all, as you'll see in this video, I did not do good with making letters and words out of pipe cleaners. Now I want you to actually guess what this next Joker is, and honestly it should be pretty free since not a lot of Jokers have this sort of green to it, so this will be pretty fun. So when I had to do this Joker, I had to detail lots of small pieces, and it was super annoying to do. And each time I detail, I try to make it as close to the original as possible, so this really took me a long while to do. Now I did detail most of them off screen, and while most of them were pretty easy to do, I think it came out pretty well, and Joker turned out very amazing. But now that I'm starting to add these details, you should understand what sort of Joker we're making. And if you guessed Pareidolia, then you are correct. But Pareidolia is kind of an alright Joker. Honestly, if all the cards acted as a king instead, then that would actually make it pretty good. But now that I've had the final finishing touches to Pareidolia, it is finished, and I can say that, yeah, I like this one better than whatever the heck sort of demon monster Jimbo is, okay? So this one right now is my current favorite one, but let's see how the other ones perform and see which one I like the most. Also, comment which one you like the most. Now, I implore you to think about which sort of Joker this could possibly be. The answer may shock you. And actually, speaking of this Joker, I think this is one of the best looking ones that I make at the end. Now, the first thing we need here is a blue square. Now, you may be wondering, how does this work in our favor? But trust me, this blue square is important, okay? Nothing too impressive yet, but with this, some of you probably already know what it is. And heck, it's probably already on the thumbnail anyway, so let's just continue on with it. As you can see, it's looking clean, it's looking smooth, and something I always like to think in my mind is that all of my creations start off looking ugly and then they become beautiful. And this is already starting to look beautiful, so I already know the end product is going to be wonderful. But you know, that's enough hyping it up. I still need you to choose the Joker that best suits your personality, but for me, that's checker deck, flushes all the way, man. I'm a flush build guy. Heck, I even do some straights myself, you know? We finally finished making the squares we need for this Joker, and making squares is just so hard to do with pipe cleaners, man, because pipe cleaners love to twist and turn and discombobulate themselves. That's why you can often see the Jokers are kind of like misaligned and a little bit weird, but they all come out pretty fine at the end, except for the time I did that failed Minecraft project. Anyways, the Joker was Fibonacci, and the only thing we have left to add is this spinning vortex. The only hard part about this was the start where I had so little room to actually do it, but some way or another I actually finagled my way into doing it, and it came out wonderfully actually. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best looking ones out of all the three, and this is going to be in the top 3 of the rest of the ones that I create. So very good job, Fibonacci, very good job. Now there was one detail I forgot to add, and it was the white border, but you know, obviously I'm adding it now, and you know, it really does bring it together. So yeah, it's still one of my top 3 favorites. So let's continue on to the next one. Now I think the Joker I'm making right here should be pretty obvious. The only problem with this one was that there was a lot of words on it, and like I said at the beginning of the video, the ones with lots of words weren't exactly the prettiest. But all we have to do right now is just fill in the rest of this card here. And while the hole was a bit smaller than anticipated, it still worked out in the end. Well, to the best of its ability at least. Now you might be able to guess which Joker this is as well. The only hint I'll give is that it's part of a 2 Joker combo that's super easy to do and gets you lots of points. But here's when things start to get cursed, because I started to add letters to the build and Jokers, and it did not end well, spoiler alert, okay? And ironically enough, these are some of the only letters I actually decided to keep in the build. So yeah, once again, this was another scale problem. I just did not have enough room to make the letters, so this is probably why we continuously got bigger and bigger with the Jokers, as you'll see in a few minutes. So yeah, I already knew in my heart that the words at the top is not gonna look good, okay? I was not prepared to make them, and the scale was too small and everything was just against me. So I decided to scale it back as far as I could and just do the rest of the details for now. And to finish it off, I just went ahead and made the outline. Definitely not my favorite Joker here, and yeah, I didn't really like it. But we have bigger, better ones to move on to, so let's get on to that. So this next one is actually going to be a little bit different. This one and all the next ones aren't actually going to be Jokers. They're going to be like cards or other little usable things that you can find in the shop. So without further ado, let's see what we have in store here. So yeah, this diamond here is actually going to be pretty useful because A, that's a pretty good looking diamond, and B, it was super easy to incorporate in what I wanted to build, which was actually a card. But now can you guess what sort of card even has this? And if you guess Ace of Diamonds, then you are correct. I'm not sure why I picked the Diamonds card exactly, but that's just what I picked, so let's just roll with it. This isn't just any old Ace of Diamonds here. Oh no, this is going to be a card with an enhancement. Yes. Now, being the resource saving and time efficient person that I am, I decided to go with the easiest enhancement possible, and that to me was the bonus cards. Also, side note, does anybody actually use molt cards? I feel like they're kind of chopped and, nobody even remembers them. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah. But overall, it was super easy to make the enhancement. All I had to do was make 8 blue arrows, and literally that was it. So I think this card came out pretty nice and definitely one of my favorites as well. Now for this one right here, this is actually a consumable and it might help you out in your runs a bit if you use it, so maybe you can figure out what it is now. So anyways, we start with this small little rectangle here, we fill it in, we put it on, and this detail right here should definitely give it away. So yeah, that should be it. So yes, if you guessed a planet card, then you are right. Bonus points if you can guess which planet card it is. And no cheating, okay? No cheating. But as you can see, I'm making the details at the bottom that tells you what the planet card does. And some of these little details do have slight variations, so pay attention. Next, I make room for the name tag, and the name was actually Saris. So if you got that one correct, then good job, I guess. But of course, you can't really make it out. Maybe if you like squint your eyes, you can understand it. But trust me, it'll be kind of remedied later on. So just trust me, bro. Finally, I add these little rocks to the side to round it out. And this card, it was alright, just in general. But it's time to move on to the next card. Now this card is a little interesting here because a lot of people like to use it, but I don't really use it that much. And the design was actually pretty easy, so quick, you have 5 seconds to guess, and hint, it's a tarot card. But the answer is the wheel, so congratulations to those people. But the problem with making these tarot cards is that they have odd colors, okay? And it's super weird to try and get the colors I want and make it look good. For example, take this wheel. Something about it just seems off to me and I don't know why, but that was the closest color I could get to it like in the game, so I had to go with it. After that, I put the label in and put the clouds in that surround the circle. But at the end, this Joker, it wasn't really anything special. It didn't blow me away, it wasn't too terrible, it was just alright in the middle, just like its odds of giving you what it wants. We're blazing through these, huh? But this next one is actually interesting because it has a different shape, but trust me, you're going to want this one on your side. Now I did have to make a renovation to the top of the card, but there's another reason why this card is also special, and it's because this is how I finally figured out how to get rid of those letters that I just do not like looking at. Now it may be a little hard to see, but this is the base I'm going to put everything onto, okay? And knowing me, I'm going to choose the easiest one I could find. So you guys have heard me yap for 13 minutes, so I'm going to give you guys a break and we'll reconvene at the next and last card, and it's going to be the biggest and best one. Wait, why is the voucher already done? I didn't even give them a break yet. Come on, man. Anyways, ta-da, this is my new idea for the words, just one big squiggly line. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but hear me out, this is an artistic liberty I had to take to make it look better. I'm sure 90% of you kind of like it, and the other 10% just don't care. So yes, all these cards will have one big squiggly line as the wording, okay? And I will see you soon. So I'll go ahead and show them off real quick. I'm not exactly sure why Fibonacci was in there, but disregard him. And as you can see on the ballot Joker, it still has some of its letters too, which is pretty rare. But now it's finally time for our last friend of Jimbo. So with that, let's get started. Now this is actually a legendary Joker, and you may be wondering why'd you choose it? Maybe it's for the finale or what? Well, no, not really. I mainly chose it because it's a different color. Now this base here did take a little while to complete because I tried to make it as perfect as possible, and it's pretty big as well, so obviously the bigger it is, the more time it takes for me to fill it in. Now there was a cut there and that was super smooth, but also this is my second face Joker and I know it's not going to be an easy task to complete, so let's get on with it. Now the first thing I want to do was make the legendary Joker background that was all wiggly and squiggly, and I think it came out alright actually. It wasn't too bad, but most of it did get covered. Now the next step in my master plan was to make the name tag, and ironically enough, since the scale was so big, I was just able to fit all the letters in, and I think it turned out passable even. And you can really tell the size difference now, man. Even inflation hit Balatro. That's how you know it's getting crazy, bruh. But enough about inflation, it's Jonkler time, and I went back to basics and created it basically the same as I did Jimbo. The only problem was that I had to make a new face since the card wasn't white and it couldn't just fill it in, but it wasn't actually that bad. The eyes weren't too bad to fill in, and we were actually able to move on to the next part, which was the hat. That brought about a few difficulties. Now, since there was nothing holding the pipe cleaner together, it kept on moving, and this caused me a lot of trouble, so I had to basically freeform the entire hat, but it wasn't too bad to actually do. I added the dots to finalize the hat, and that was basically it, so it's time to move on to the body. And the body was super easy to complete as well. Just find the shape, fill it in, and then border it with the opposite color. But we aren't done yet. The way I want him standing up is going to have his back out, so let's cover that up real quick. But with that, our legendary Joker is finished, so let's go ahead and put everything together, which actually gave me a little bit more trouble than I thought it would. Now the plan was to have 5 on the bottom, 3 on the top, and then our legendary Joker, and we actually did do that, but the problem was making them cooperate. Now these cards on the second level was super hard to put on, but this was because the foundation on the first level was super bad, so I went back, reinforced it, and this was much easier to put back on. After a little while, I deemed that it was good enough, and I just made some more space for our legendary Joker to sit on. I made a modification at the back to help the legendary stand up, but other than that, that's basically the end of the project. So finally, let's go ahead, do some last shots, last photos, whatever, and I will see you back at the last 1 minute for another yap session. And ta-da, you have finally won the run. That's right, we are at the end of the video, and I am surprised because we made it 18 minutes. So let's go ahead, add an extra 1 minute to that, and let me just talk really for a second. This was a little bit much. This was a lot, but I hope you guys like it. I hope this one becomes, I don't know, super famous and gets me lots of thousands of views and subscribers. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, if you watched this far. I mean, you had to be at least a little bit invested, right? Like, surely you want to see what happens next, see what other things I can create. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. It's free of charge. Let me see, how else can I get you to hit that subscribe button? If you don't hit the subscribe button, I'm gonna come to your house and I don't know, ask you to hit it again. I don't know, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll just see you in the next one, I guess, if we even see each other again, you know.